Welcome back to the Seaboard Central, everyone, in part 2 of the weathering series on these Seaboard Central boxcars. And you'll notice I've taped up some important information on the cars to look like the shop forces at the Seaboard Central has remarked the cars where it had previously been covered up with some graffiti tags. Since some model 2015 and these paint jobs were created in 1995, then they're 20 years old, so we're going to let them show like they're 20 years old. So one of the things I did on this side of the car is I did add some graffiti. It's just some something like this Sharpie to do the black, and some paint pens like this right here. I get the ultra fine paint pens. Well, you can find different ones to use. There's another color. First, I'll just sketch the graffiti out with a pencil, outline it, and then I'll fill it in. So I'm going to make this look like this graffiti's been on the car for a while, and I'm going to fade the car. And how I'm going to do it, I'm just going to use the airbrush, and I'm going to fade it with some Model Master white, thinned out pretty heavily with this Vallejo airbrush thinner. This is what it looks like, kind of like skim milk. And I've got the car up on a block of wood, and I'm just going to go side to side and up and down. I'm just going to do layers. And I'll let one coat dry, and then I'll put an additional coat on it. I just want to fade down that paint like it's been baking in the sun for 20 years. One thing I like to do to create my fade effects is to put it in a little jar, put the thinner and put the paint in, and that way I can shake it up real fine. You can see it's already having an effect to tone down that paint job. While we're waiting on the cars to dry, let's address these wheels in the trucks. So I've removed the old wheels from the trucks, and those here are the new wheels. And the things I'm going to need are this Katie Greasem. It's a graphite to put inside the wheels. And also this sanding stick. I picked this up at Micromark. And so you can see real good. For wheels, depending on if the car goes through a hump yard or not, you'll see this rim right here. If the car goes through a classification hump yard, as it goes over the retarders will grab hold of this rim. So this part will be shiny. And if the car doesn't go through a hump yard, say it's in a unit train or intermodal car, it won't be that way. So depending on what the cars are doing will depend if we need to sand this or not. So a lot of the cars that I have go through hump yards. There's a hump yard located in Macon on Norfolk Southern. There's one at Birmingham on Norfolk Southern and CSX and also BNSF. So there's a good chance these cars are going through a hump yard as they leave and come back from other carriers. So one of the first things I want to do is I want to sand this axle tip down to remove that paint from the painting process. And also it'll file that point down a little bit so that it won't be sticking inside the truck frame. So it doesn't take much. Just to kind of file it down. And to simulate that look of the car going across the hump yard, I'll just take the sanding stick and I'll remove the paint from the sides of that rim. Just like this. Another thing I want to make sure is there's no paint on the face of the wheels in case some slip through. So I'll do that for all the wheels. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this graphite. I'm going to put some inside, right inside where the axle will go. And I can add the wheel. Let's see, you see that? It's really spinning. That's what you want. No friction at all. This car will roll. I'll just add some to the other side. See that? All right, next step I'm going to do is come over to my weathering station and I'm going to add some burnt sienna tint pan pastels to the sides of the car to help to blend this stuff in further. This also give it a dirtier look, but it helps fade this stuff down. Now it won't be as stark after I add the dull coat, but you can definitely see it's another layer that's helping to fade this car. I take a larger brush. Just help to tone this down. Alright, next up we're going to add some dull coat. This is just Tester's dull coat. Seal everything in. Let that dry. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is add some of this burnt sienna shade to the white stripe using a small brush. For some reason this white started rusting very quickly on these cars. I want it darker at the bottom and kind of just splotch it in at the top and keep it dark up at this top edge. And then I can take, just push it in, pull it down. In some areas I can add this darker shade, this burnt sienna extra dark. Especially along that top right there. Another area I want to hit is this bottom of this door. With this pan pastels is just putting a base on. We'll go back later and add some artist oils. And there's a door track runs right along the top of the car, and you'll see a lot of runoff, so you can have some at the ends of these door tracks. Do something like that. Also, this door track tends to rust a lot, so we'll put some rust up in here, and maybe some along this one. There's something like that. These doors get banged up a lot, especially little latches along this seam. Forklifts banging into them. There you go. We'll just spray this with another coat of dull coat. Seal those pastels in. I believe this is where we're going to stop the video for this week. Tune in next week and we'll wrap these cars up. So until then, thanks for watching, and appreciate you stopping by. If you liked it, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already done that. Leave a comment. I read everyone. Until next week, happy model railroading, everyone.